Welcome back. This is Let's Have It Out. We are taking your calls on 0117596340. And our first caller is Science from Beggarsford. Hello.
Hello, ma'am. How are you?
I'm good. And yourself, Science?
I'm great. Thank you very much for asking. Good evening to our guests in the studio. I just need to find out I've got one question. In regard to the medical aid. I just need to understand which law or which rule guides the medical aid in as far as freezing the payments of practitioners, more especially when you find a scenario where they say to you, we need invoices for product A, B, and C. In the interim, while you're busy preparing the invoices, you find that your payment has been freezed. You don't get your payment. So I do not understand why is there a need for them to freeze your payment whilst they haven't found you guilty of any fraud. They just need the invoices, which most of the time we provide the invoices because it's like they always say, it's a random audit that they do almost every year. So I'd like to find out from the medical aid as to what guides them in that regard. As far as the payments are concerned. Thank you.
Thank you, Science, for your question. Mr. Patel, I think it's a question that you were trying to answer. When I disagreed with you that Section 59 authorizes the medical aids, I think you can just...
It does authorize them to reverse, but the onus is on medical schemes to prove that fraud does exist.
Yeah.
And then you can reverse. But also, if you do suspect fraud that's taking place, you've got to make sure a couple of things takes place. There's an obligation if the amount seems to be more than 100,000, you have to report it to the Commercial Crimes Unit. If there's any suspicion of fraud, we must stamp it out in the country, and we mustn't apologize for that if anyone is committing it, especially if it needs to be investigated. And the only people who are really qualified and who can take things further are the police. So yes, while medical schemes might have internal auditors, they can identify, they can do the internal investigation, but we need to get the forensic, the fraud, the commercial crimes police involved, the NPA involved, and SIU, and whoever else that are government institutions to investigate and prosecute. That needs to be done. I know sometimes what has happened in the past is those practitioners are often called in. And through their discussions, there's an acknowledgement or something that, yes, this kind of thing must have happened, and there may have been agreements as to the reversals type of thing. Those are obviously with engagement. But I think the point that you're trying to make is there are probably funders out there who are not following due process and transparent process or fair process. And I think that's an important one we need to address. And if there are problems, I know BHF runs the Forensic Management Unit, which is sort of a loose association of funders trying to stamp out fraud in the environment. And I know in our organization there is a code of conduct and the processes that has to be followed in investigation and how those things are dealt with.
Yeah, I hear you. I agree with you. It's quite important to not tolerate fraud in our country. However, them freezing payment or not making payment to the practitioner is tantamount to taking the law into their own hands without even verifying or making sure that the fraud has indeed taken place. I see you are shaking your head, Ms. Thembekile. Do you have something to say?
Yes, I totally disagree with you. Like Rajesh has said, the Medical Schemes Act, Section 59, subsection 3, entitles the medical scheme to withhold payment if there is a reasonable suspicion that either fraud has been committed by those doctors, or let me rather call them healthcare practitioners, because it just includes even the pharmacies and auxiliary healthcare services as well. And even if where claims are paid negligently, in good faith, because once a claim is submitted to the medical scheme, they process it within that period, that is 30 days, but there must be claims audit at the end of the day, like any other business or any, you need to do audits of all the claims, because you need to ensure that the medical scheme is financially sustainable at the end of the day, and that whatever amounts that you are paying valid claims.
Yes.
That's what the law provides, saying that you can only pay claims that are valid. And how are they valid? If they are funded in accordance with the Medical Schemes Act as well as the rules of the medical scheme. Medical scheme is not just there to pay any claim that is presented. Once it's found that there are irregularities, then they can withhold because there's a reasonable suspicion. And if there are valid claims that needs to be paid, then they are also entitled to offset whatever monies, just to respond to the caller who just asked what gives them the right to do so. Section 959, 2 and 3.
Okay, I still disagree with your interpretation of Section 59.3, because it doesn't talk. If I don't know, I didn't quote it verbatim, but it doesn't talk of a reasonable suspicion. It talks of where in instances where there is fraud, yes, and misconduct, and what's another one? Well, I might not have the section before me. Erroneous. Yes, but now, why do medical aids make it their business to know where you get your medicines from? The pharmacists and doctors have got their own regulatory statutory bodies that make it their business to oversee these practices.
Yeah.
Now, why does medical aid? Because there's no relationship or there's no contract between a medical aid and the pharmacist. However, there is a relationship between a member of a medical aid and the pharmacist. If there's no relations between the two of us, why do you make it your business to know where I'm getting the things that I mean, this is my business. I run my practice. I source medicine from different service providers. Why do you want to audit my business?
The answer is simple. To talk to the last bit, if there's no contract, there often is a contract between the pharmacist and the schemes, especially in like the DSP type of arrangement, designated service provider arrangements or so, or if the provider wants direct payments from the administrator. There are some of those arrangements in place. But I think the critical component we're asking for source documentation is to help prove whether it is fraudulent claim or not. As I said, there are instances where generics are prescribed or generics may be dispensed, and the ethical is charged for. If you have charged for an ethical, it means you should be able to produce invoice for an ethical. And assuming if an administrator finds you've dispensed in a year 200 packs, then you should be able to produce invoice for about 200 packs. And that's the reason for calling those type of source information, to prove that forensic component.
Okay, after the ad break, I am still giving you a chance to call us on 011-759-6340.